In order to cook good food, you just need to use all of your 5 senses. Sight, what looks good, what inspires you to cook. Touch, how does it feel when you're selecting it? How does it feel when you're cooking it? Is it ready? Hearing, what does it sound like in the pan? How fast is it sizzling? Smell, how does it smell in your apartment? What's that aroma like? Taste, the culmination of all the other 4 senses and your hard work put together. That's why I love cooking. Let's get into it. This is the traditional paella. Pimenton, piquillo pepper, azafran, lemon, extra virgin olive oil, clam juice, cebolla, red pepper, green pepper, parsley, garlic, red wine, arroz bomba, chorizo, pollo, mussels, shrimp. Let's get started with the lengthy process of paella. First, we're going to form our sofrito, which is a nice small diced onion, along with some chopped tomatoes, red and green bell peppers. So I'm going to cut everything into a small dice. And meanwhile, I'm going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees, which we'll use a little bit later. Now, our paella pan is a traditional pan used in Spain to cook the paella with shallow walls. We'll use some Spanish olive oil to coat the bottom of the pan, and we'll start off by seasoning the chicken with some salt and some pepper on both sides. We'll put the chicken in the pan skin side down always and allow that to get nice and crispy. Meanwhile, we use our chorizo to add even more flavor and fat to the pan. I'm going to slice the chorizo, break the casing, and take the meat out of the casing. Let's take a look at the chicken. It needs some more time. As we can see, we want it to get nice and golden brown. Put that on the side. Add the chorizo right into the pan. At this point, you might need to add a little bit more olive oil just to coat it. Don't be afraid to use too much oil. Now, this fat from the chorizo is rendering out nicely, and it's going to turn the oil a nice reddish color. This is from the paprika, and it smells delicious already. Take the chorizo out once it starts to get cooked, and we'll reserve this. This dish is something that people generally don't like to attempt at home. They're scared of it. It has too many ingredients, as you can see by the plethora of ingredients we have here. It's definitely very involved, but to me, it's all worth it in the end. Alright, we're going to start to cook the sofrito now by adding the onions into the pan. They're going to absorb all the fat from the chorizo and from the chicken skin. We want to stir this around just to coat all the onions and allow them to cook down. Once they start to turn a little bit translucent, I'm going to cut up about 2 cloves of garlic and throw that in the pan. I add half a cup of tomato and cook this down on low heat. The rice is the centerpiece of the dish, and this special Spanish rice is great because it absorbs 3 times its flavor. Alright, let's add the green onions and the peppers to the pan. We're going to use about 1 cup total. Incorporate this into the sofrito. And now we're going to add the rice. In total, I'm going to put about 1 cup of rice into the pan and stir it in nicely so that it's incorporated into the sofrito. As you can see now, the paella is already starting to form its color and shape. In keeping with it simple, we use clam juice instead of shellfish stock. I got 1 jar of clam juice, I got some red wine, about half a cup, and about 1 cup of chicken stock. Now, unlike risotto, we don't want to stir this rice too much because we don't want to activate the glutens. Just let it ride. To enhance the flavor more, we're going to add 2 true Spanish spices, saffron and paprika. Saffron, as we know, comes from the crocus plant. It's the male sex organ, so we know this dish is going to be hot. And the paprika is a smoked Spanish pepper, and we're going to put about 2 teaspoons of that right into the pan and mix it up. At this time, I also like to add the chorizo back to the pan. Incorporate that, and we're going to bake this in our 400 degree preheated oven for 20 minutes. So to steam the mussels, we'll take some chicken stock and some clam juice. Place the mussels in and steam those over high heat. Cover that up and let that go. We'll check in about 2 minutes. Meanwhile, I get a sauté pan to cook the shrimp. Get that pan super hot. And I've got my nice shrimp here. I like to keep the shell on. This way we got extra flavor and texture. Coat the pan with olive oil, and we'll go right into it with the shrimp. 1 at a time here, being careful not to burn your fingers. And you can see them already starting to turn color. Let them ride for about 1 minute on each side and then pull them. You can see the muscles are already opened up here, and that's perfect. So they're done. Alright, let's take a look at the paella and see where it's at. As you can see, it's absorbed all the liquid already. And this rice is just like a sponge, I tell you. It absorbs all that flavor. Let's add some more liquid into it. We're going to take the cooking liquid from the mussels, add that right back into the pan. Don't be scared here. We can put some extra clam juice in and a little bit of chicken stock. Okay, let's reserve the shrimp. Just put them on the side. We'll allow for a little bit of carryover cooking. Now, for the garnish for this dish, I'm going to cut the piquillo pepper into a julienne and then into a dice. Rough cut the parsley, and then the lemon we'll cut right into wedges. And we'll use all this to garnish the paella. Alright, let's check the paella. Now, once it's cooked, we're going to return the paella to the stovetop. We're going to arrange the mussels nicely on top, along with the shrimp. And man, this dish is super sexy, folks. Look at this thing. Garnish with the piquillo peppers, the parsley, some lemon. If you want to know how to make an aioli, this is the time to get that on top too. There is no dish hotter to bring to a table full of guests that you want to impress than a paella. Crown it off with the chicken right on top. Okay, so as I mentioned before, for me the best part of the paella is called the socorrat, and that's the burnt bits on the bottom. You can see it right there. So we're going to scrape some of those off and eat them. I ain't gonna lie, that tastes good.